Israel and Hamas agreed to a hostage release deal. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Jeff Pierre. It's Wednesday, November 22nd. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories.
Any person who will be released is good, is important. Eventually, we need them all.
That was Nir Shani. He's the father of a 16-year-old boy who was taken hostage in Gaza. He was talking about the deal which Israel and Hamas agreed to early this morning. Here are some of the details of that deal. At least 50 women and children will be released from captivity in Gaza. In exchange, the sides have agreed to a 4-day pause in fighting starting in the coming days. 3 Americans are expected to be among those released, including a 3-year-old girl. Israel has said that the pause could be extended if Hamas agrees to release more of the 240 hostages Israel says are being held in Gaza. As part of the deal, Israel will also release 150 jailed Palestinian women and children. Israel will also allow more fuel and humanitarian aid into Gaza. After the pause, Israel has said it'll continue its bombardment. This is the first major pause in the 6-week assault that has devastated Gaza after Hamas's deadly attack on Israel on October 7th. Sam Altman will return to his post as OpenAI chief executive. That is number 2. So the drama continues at the artificial intelligence company that makes the ChatGPT bot. OpenAI announced a deal last night. It follows days of chaos since Altman was fired last week, and it'll lead to changes in the company's board, which decided to fire Altman in the first place. Altman's firing has exposed a power struggle over who controls the future of AI technology, which is increasingly part of our everyday lives, and that fight will continue even with Altman's return. At number 3, the CEO of the cryptocurrency exchange Binance pleaded guilty to federal charges. Changpeng Zhao has been one of the most powerful forces in the crypto world for years. Yesterday, he agreed to step down as the CEO of Binance after pleading guilty to violating anti-money laundering laws. He faces up to 18 months in prison and a $50 million fine. Attorney General Merrick Garland explained the charges yesterday.
Binance facilitated billions of dollars of unregulated cryptocurrency transactions. It willfully enabled hundreds of millions of dollars in transactions between American users and users subject to U.S. sanctions. And its platform accommodated criminals across the world who used Binance to move their stolen funds and other criminal proceeds.
This was a staggering blow against the world's largest crypto exchange. Binance will pay a $4.3 billion fine. That's one of the largest corporate penalties in U.S. history. And it comes at a time of deep uncertainty for the crypto industry. Earlier this month, Sam Bankman-Fried, the co-founder of FTX, another crypto exchange, was convicted of fraud. Number 4, an oil spill is threatening wildlife in the Gulf of Mexico. At least 1.1 million gallons of oil have spilled into the ocean off the Louisiana coast. This is according to an estimate yesterday from the U.S. Coast Guard. The spill was discovered last week near a pipeline, but we don't know yet if that was the source. This incident is the latest in an area that has seen some of the worst offshore oil disasters in U.S. history. In 2010, 130 million gallons of crude oil poured into the Gulf of Mexico after an explosion at the Deepwater Horizon drilling rig. That incident contaminated habitats for sea turtles and harmed marine mammals, birds, and fish. Number 5. A mysterious illness is making dogs sick in several states, and some dogs are dying. Hundreds of dogs in Colorado, Oregon, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts have contracted an unknown respiratory illness, and veterinarians aren't totally sure what's causing it or how it's spreading. The symptoms include fever, cough, lack of appetite, eye and nose discharge, sneezing, and difficulty breathing. Vets say that it usually starts with a cough that might last for weeks, then progresses to pneumonia and severe respiratory distress, and it doesn't appear to respond to antibiotics. One vet's hospital in Colorado has seen at least 35 cases since October 20th. She recommended that people avoid sending their dogs to boarding facilities and doggy daycare. The IRS is delaying new tax reporting rules for apps like Venmo. That's number 6. This proposal would have required companies like Venmo, Airbnb, and Uber to report people's payments on their platforms to the IRS if users receive more than $600 in a year. That would include income like selling tickets to a concert or a sporting event, or working a gig as a delivery driver or dog walker. But yesterday, the IRS said the old threshold will stay in place for now. That applies only to people who made more than $20,000 and 200 transactions on the platforms. This is the second time the controversial proposal to lower the threshold has been delayed.
Voilà, le chapeau de l'empereur Napoleon Ier.
And at number 7, one of Napoleon's signature hats sold for $2.1 million.
Pas de regret, adjugé.
The French emperor owned around 120 bicorn hats over his lifetime, and about 20 of them are still around. One which he wore around the year 1810 was auctioned last week. You can see a picture of it in our newsletter. These hats were instantly recognizable and an important part of Napoleon's brand. The croissant-shaped headwear made him stand out from the other uniformed men on horseback during battle. And if you're interested in Napoleon, but you don't have $2 million to spare on one of his hats, Ridley Scott's hotly anticipated movie about the emperor was released today. The movie tickets should be a little bit cheaper. That's the show for this week. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and we'll be back with the podcast on Monday, but you can still read the 7 newsletter throughout the break. If you've never seen the written version, you can find a link to it in our show notes, and make sure you subscribe. We'll also be publishing something special on Friday, so make sure you stay tuned. I'm Jeff Pierre, and I'll meet you back here for Friday's special drop.